How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Apologize for the messy hair. It's car cleaning day, so don't really care about looking decent, I guess. I'm just at home. Today I'm going to be washing the Lexus IS250. I know it's nothing exciting, but the last part of the car that I did not really detail yet is the trunk area. And as I took the panels out of the trunk, the floorboard and everything else, it's pretty gross. So let me go ahead and show you. I've known about this for a minute now. I haven't had a chance to clean it. This is all the dirt that's been caked up on the car over the years. It's never been properly cleaned. I actually probably have to razor this dirt off. It's on there pretty bad. And if you look inside the jam, it's actually pretty disgusting. It's almost as bad as the engine bay, not quite. But when I got into the trunk, as you can see there's a lot of leaves, twigs, all sorts of stuff. Doesn't seem too bad. Looks like, you know, typical trunk. This area is not the cleanest, but it is what it is. Again, on the left side here by the spare tire well, it's kind of dirty. But the beauty is when I come over here. Something spilled. It's kind of gross. Here, and then you get into the trunk, there's all this debris or whatever this is, along with twigs and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, the car wasn't the best taken care of. All this right here is just from sanding and prep, just getting in the jams, just dust, body shop dust as I call it. So that can be cleaned up. But I really want to clean up and go through this before I, what is that? Before I wash the car, so I get all this cleaned up and get it done. If you look here in the jam of the trunk, I'm probably gonna use a degreaser and clean all this up. It's just like underneath the hood. But this is pretty crazy that the car is this filthy. But yeah, I want to go ahead and clean all this up before I actually wash the car, because the more water that runs through this area, it's going to just help wash everything out. But yeah, I got to get this done. But before that, I got to pull these cars out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and then get started. The Mercedes and the Mustang are out parked in front of the house. I obviously have the Lexus in the garage. One thing I wanted to show you on the trunk piece, this is one of them, is how disgusting and gross it is. So I do want to clean this up before I put it back in. Obviously, the carpet piece I just placed over here out of the way real quick. The other side of this panel is not too bad, surprisingly not bad at all. But I'm going to go ahead and use Mother's Speed All-Purpose Degreaser. I used this last time for the engine bay and it worked amazingly well. I'm actually going to use paper towels on this time, just because I could just wipe it down and throw it away. I know it's not the most ideal thing for paint, but it's the underside of the trunk and this jam, which nobody's going to see, so I'm not too worried about it. The underside of the trunk actually looks really good now. It's cleaned up for the most part, not perfect, but good enough to get most of that stuff out. So I went back to using the old toothbrush, like I mentioned in the other video, and I actually started scrubbing the window before I took a razor to it to try to scrape the dirt off, and it's actually coming off fairly okay. But if you look inside here, it is gross. That's all that stuff that's just kicked on from the top side of the window, and then in the little gap here, it's just all coming out. I'm gonna do a few more rounds of this just to get it all cleaned up and then wipe it all up with some paper towels. Did another round of scrubbing inside here. It looks pretty good, nice and white again. For me to really clean, I need to remove this piece, but it's no big deal. I'll deal with that later. But one interesting thing I came across is there's a couple defined spots here. I don't know if it's where they pinch the chassis together, but there's a couple of light rust spots, but they're evenly spaced. So I'll have to take a deeper look into that later. But I know underneath the plastic here, it's disgusting. I can see the dirt. I'll get to that another day. And then while I was doing that, I took the spare tire out so I can clean up underneath here. And I'm gonna get a vacuum and get this all sorted out. It's gross, but it's not the worst thing I've ever had to clean, so it's all right. All right, spent some time scrubbing in the spare tire well. It's not perfect, but it is a lot better. Good enough for me, so for a daily driver. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the spare tire back in and put everything in the trunk back together. On an added note, this is the paper towels that I used today. Pretty gross and disgusting. I obviously didn't want to destroy a microfiber doing this, so I recommend the same. It's better than destroying a perfectly good microfiber. As you can see here, the trunk is now back in one piece. Everything's bolted back down. It's looking good. So I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing I haven't put back is this piece. To be honest, it's been out of the car for so long, I gotta dig through my garage and see where it's at. So need to get that figured out. But now all that's left to really do is wash the car. It's been raining here on and off in Vegas. I think the rain is finally done for the season, or for the next month or two. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash this thing because it's pretty dirty. I know in the camera it doesn't pick it up, but if you see it with your own eyes, it's pretty dirty. But that pretty much concludes today's episode. Thanks again so much for watching. Definitely do appreciate all the people watching. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and do me a huge favor, like the video and subscribe, and leave some comments down below on what you'd like to see. Still doing the 1,000 subscriber merch giveaway. All you gotta do is subscribe to this channel and also follow our socials on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next time, you guys take care.